how y'all doing? Today I'm going to be doing something I have never done before, and that is sit and actually play a game without exacerbated excitement enveloping the video. Sorry neighbors. Anyway, this is Rlcraft. I've played this mod a few times before, but I've never actually completed the mod 100%. And this is going to be the first time in a long time I've laid my hands on Minecraft. So I suppose I am to prepare myself for skill atrophy, or rust as some might call it. So in this, there are a few things that I want to accomplish that I've never managed to accomplish before in my previous Rlcraft runs. That is, 1. Defeat all the bosses. 2. Get a dragon ring. 3. Possibly make a base? Yes, the very first things most individuals that indulge in the game Minecraft would do before anything else is make a base. However, I have no sense of style. I am utterly inept when it comes to interior, exterior, and really design in general. That sadly isn't something I'm blessed with. However, I would consider myself fairly endowed with an indomitable spirit. As you can see by the gameplay, this modpack is not the least bit forgiving, which I suppose does fall in line with the RL in Rlcraft. But I don't expressly remember eldritch horrors coming to massage me into the state of a still carcass. But hey, it's apples and oranges. Who's really counting? But after trying to get started several times and RNG consistently making the call on my life by sending beast after my caloric content, I finally got some footing, somewhat. Yeah, that skill atrophy is taking longer to wear off than I thought. Hey, can we get some movie magic? That's better. Now the progression can really begin. I found myself in the ocean and oh wait, hold on. Just give me 1 second. I happened upon a village. Wow, hooray. And after doing a few home and one party consented entries, I knew I was going to be good to go from here. Right now I'm collecting wool and getting blocks to 1. Make the coveted medical supplies known as a bandage, and just about 100x those, and 2, so I can have footholds to loot my first battle tower. But first I'm going to go to sleep, as to not have more mob spawns than I can handle from multiple directions. So in the morning I make my way to the aforementioned battle tower, which to my dismay was a battle tower of the broken variety, but it's whatever. So I pressed go and engaged in mortal combat with the residents of said battle tower. Yeah, probably not the smartest thing I've ever done, but just chalk it up to that darn skill atrophy or brain atrophy, whichever one is more convenient. However slow and minimal the progress, it still falls under the term progress. So I guess it's not all bad. I then overconfidently or naively walked back to the XP hole to get some more of that aforementioned progress, and promptly get ganked by a zombie falling on my head. It's gonna be a long one, folks. You better strap in. In my defeat, I decided to break my bed and roll the dice of RNG again. For those unaware, Rlcraft has a 5,000 by 5,000 spawn radius from the world spawn point. So opposed to exploring and unlocking different regions of the map, I do something quite non-RPG and cast myself down to see what new lands await me. I spawn in, not an ocean, but a more manageable body of water. That just so happened to have a sunken ship. I go down to loot the chest, and yeah, some might call it overzealous, foolhardy, or daft, but apparently I think it's ambitious. And in Rlcraft, risks are meant to be taken, whether it be on taking a battle tower with nothing but a leather tunic, or seeking the untold treasures within the nest of a dragon. Overall, not bad loot. I then found myself in an ocean. Again, yeah, whoever told you that poking around a dragon nest, whether the dragon is there or not, you probably shouldn't do that if you concern yourself with things like, oh, I don't know, progress, bodily well-being. Anyway, oh, what's that over there? A village. Me like. So once again, I get my supplies from the chests they have just kind of laying out. Someone should really secure that. I do my own renovations to the local's house, which somehow isn't illegal, but it's fine by me. I won't complain. But I'm not sure if the local HOA is going to be very pleased with these developments, but that's not my problem. I then engage on some more single party consented entries on the local library, frisk the librarian for his book trade, then promptly move on to the rest of the building, where the loot is negligible at best, but still somehow causes me to have an equal amount of suffering in my efforts to acquire said loot. Nice. With all that being established, I think it's time to start setting out, spread my wings, expand my horizons, leave the nest as some would say. And fortunately for me, those new horizons end up being one of my favorite structures to loot, an underground battle tower. Neat. The reason the underground battle tower is one of my favorite set pieces, especially in the early game, is because when you kill kill the tower golem, it doesn't delete anything. It's especially convenient for XP collection because mobs aren't going to fall on your head if you take the proper precautions, and is not exposed to open air. So mobs that are outside of the set piece won't usually have a direct impact on the player, but this battle tower is especially optimal because of its proximity to, although I don't quite know it yet, base of operations. And a quick side note, do as I say, not as I do. This strat was unequivocally boneheaded. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I was thinking of at all, but that skill atrophy sure is something, huh? And then I still try to make it work, and it very clearly isn't. Yeah, baiting skeletons that have something called aimbot with a slow moving target, although the margin for error is small, isn't something you'd want to necessarily invest in if you want to keep your life insurance premiums. Nor are infernals. Hopefully that's duly noted. Who's that nice looking fellow in the corner? Anyway, there's something I need if I'm going to loot this battle tower with the most efficiency, and that is procuring bandages. Health is obviously something you need to live to do that, duh, so I'll be getting something to counteract the Rlcraft mob AI from suplexing my cubic buttocks into the twilight zone. I then venturing to another set piece to find nothing of note, which is fine, great even. There's plenty of more in the game. Let's move on. I somehow, using the power of Poseidon, Superman, and Salmon, or Salmon, make my way up the castle set piece to farm mobs that are in the walls. This kinda reminds me of Attack on Titan, but less world ending. Alright, now that I've cleared my mind from any misgivings or incompetence, I now, armed with a shield, can confidently loot this battle tower and perhaps make it past the second floor. And well, I did make it past the second floor, not of my own will, but via a skeleton ganking me from the corner of the room and the mobs making short work of me, but what do you expect? So much for that confidence, huh? It's clear to me now that I wasn't prepared enough. Let's try that again. That failure made a few things abundantly clear. I need offensive capabilities, as well as damage mitigation, as to not become caloric contents of the Rlcraft's juiced mobs. So now, with some new armor, weapons, and a strategy, I can now begin looting the battle tower. Hooray! But I know that darn skill atrophy is gonna rear its ugly head, isn't it? So I make a checkpoint inside of the battle tower and make a bed on the outside so my spawn isn't too far away in the event I die. But before this can truly begin in earnest, I will need something called a bezel. It's a bauble that counteracts the effects of poisons, and they have a chance to drop from cave spiders. Let's just ignore that. Skill atrophy sure is something, huh? Now let's get back into this dungeon. Get to killing mobs and getting XP, like a proper Rlcraft player should be doing, and not whatever nonsense I was doing. I found that hitting the zombies through a man-made hole was an optimal strat. I was overwhelmingly happy with my progress, but there was something missing. The XP from all the mobs weren't mine, and upon realizing this problem, I decided to Kool-Aid-Man through the wall, and all it took was one infernal mob with pulling to utterly ruin my day, and now I have to go all the way back. Ugh. I'm sorry viewer at home, but I regret to inform you that the making of this content was heavily influenced by AI, because no person with proper working brain or experience in this mod pack should ever think this is a good idea. Hopefully you believe me. Anyway, after agitating the golem and recalling home, quaking in my chainmail, I'm pretty sure I was done. So I ventured off to other places in search of more riches. But all that abruptly came to an end when I decided to mine some coal, and I jumped in the coal hole, utterly dismissing the existence of like a night mobs, and ultimately paid a price for my imprudence. And why am I on the beach, you ask? Let me tell you. I broke my bed that I placed outside of the battle tower to get a quick respawn, and even though I hit the waystone of the village, I reset my spawn point to that bed, which voids the waystone until I hit another one. So now I won't be getting my loot back, or any other loot from my house as a result. My mission now is to find a village and hope it's not too far from my village home, to where it will be too expensive to teleport there. I start off playing a bit risky under a dragon, but his nose is too big, he doesn't even see me. I make my way over to the broken battle tower with hardly anything in it, but it's fine. There's another battle tower in the distance. All I gotta do is drop down, and this Joust is coming up to hug me, and I don't know why. But it doesn't matter why, because the Joust exoskeleton is far too pointy for my soft squishy body, so I retreat from its advances. Things might seem bleak for now, but all I need is some tools, and I can easily be back to where I was before the stone guy paid me a visit. But Lycanice decided to rear its ugly head again. Thankfully, I was able to handle the situation. But then it rears its head again, and I get my buttocks absolutely handed to me on a silver platter and got tossed like pizza dough. I spawn again. This time, I was actually able to find a village. I then slowly begin the building up process again, which you should already know how this goes. Hopefully the next episode, the skill atrophy isn't as harsh, and I can actually get some sort of progression done. Feel free to press any of the YouTube good buttons down below, and I will see you in the next one.